Hello, everyone. I'm Jennifer Romanecki, President and CEO of Marie Selby Botanical Gardens, and I'm thrilled to welcome you to today's Botanical Briefing. What a great crowd. Bruce, you have a lot of friends here. So today's briefing is entitled Plant Diversity, Conservation, and the Future of Selby Gardens. So I'd like to thank our members and volunteers for being here and for your ongoing support of Selby Gardens. And I want to thank all of you for joining us today. So before we begin, I'd like to briefly share some exciting updates on Phase 2 of the master plan for the downtown Sarasota campus. This transformational project is moving forward at a rapid pace and will include a first-in-the-world hurricane-resilient conservatory complex putting on view our more than 20,000 wild collected plants. It will also include an indoor-outdoor learning pavilion and new garden features, and the whole phase will be powered by 100% renewable energy. Yes, really exciting. So construction is officially underway. You could see that fence when you came in, and I'm thrilled to say that this is the way we'll be throughout construction, so the visitor experience is really held intact, and we will be going vertical soon. So which will allow us to open Phase 2 in just 2 years from now. Pretty exciting. So I did want to also share that the composite material being deployed for the new conservatory complex passed all of its hurricane rating tests. So this is what will ensure resiliency in the wake of major storms. And as a result, we are seeking a trademark on our innovative design. So it's really exciting, how the challenges of resiliency are resulting in innovation, true innovation. In addition, Phase 1 of the master plan, you may have heard, has officially achieved living building certification. It's really exciting. So that's the most rigorous green building standard anywhere. And I did want to mention that as a result of this journey we were on, Selby Gardens is the subject of a case study that was produced by the Living Futures Institute. And it's really about our quest for the master plan, the challenges along the way, warts and all, and the result of creating the world's first net positive energy botanical garden complex. Really exciting. So this case study, I don't want to say we had nothing to do with it because it's about us, but it was published by the International Living Future Institute, and it's now in the gift shop if you're interested in getting a copy. So we're just really proud of this testament to the level of the project that we've undertaken. And finally, I'm thrilled to share that we're now over 90% of the way to our capital funding goal for Phase 2. So we are almost there. We only have a short gap to fill, and we're really grateful to those of you who have already supported the project. It's really all private philanthropy, making the master plan such a gift to our community and beyond. So it's really exciting. We're moving rapidly forward, and we need to in the wake of these major storms. So now on to today's program. So this is the second installment of an exciting lecture series that we are reestablishing at Selby Gardens. We paused in-person botanical briefings during the pandemic, and we're so thrilled to bring this back. We can see that all of you want to come here for in-person lectures, and we're really excited to bring it back. And I do hope you'll be able to stay after the lecture and enjoy lunch either in the Green Orchid restaurant or over at the Selby House Cafe. And now I'm delighted to share a few words about our speaker, Bruce Holst. Bruce Holst, Selby Gardens Vice President for Botany. So Bruce studied plant sciences at the University of California, Davis, and joined Selby Gardens as the herbarium manager in 1994. With such a wonderful long tenure, who better to speak about research in conservation at Selby Gardens today? No one. Bruce is interested in plant diversity and distribution in the American tropics and subtropics, and has participated in more than 30 international plant research and collecting expeditions. Bruce is currently working on projects related to the floras of Belize, Colombia, Ecuador, Venezuela, and Florida. His contributions to Selby Gardens have been so vitally important to our success. And so without further ado, please join me in welcoming Bruce Holst up to the microphone.
Thank you, Jennifer. We're happy to have you on our team. I've been, as she said, actually just over 30 years here, and I've had to curate and mentor 4 previous directors. It took 6 to 9 months, or maybe a year in some cases. Jennifer arrived on day 1, and she was on board, so thank you, Jennifer. So I just put together a few images and maybe a few stories about some of the work that we've done here, and talk about some of the people that we've had here in the past in our science division, which has been phenomenal. The number of expeditions that we've conducted, the number of new species we've described as new for science, it's phenomenal, huge amount of work. A lot of that was thanks to some of the earlier botanists, Carl Luer and Cal Dodson. I'll show you pictures of them in just a moment. Through this effort over the years, the decades, we've built up a phenomenal collection of preserved and living plants. So our herbarium is small in comparison to many other institutions like Missouri and New York that have 6-7 million. We have 125,000 or so, but our collection is very focused on epiphytic plants. So talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And so it's the place, if you're going to study bromeliads or orchids, this is the place you've got to come. Ferns as well, Gesneria is growing very quickly. It's just a wonderful place to work. That's why I'm still here. Yeah, and I see a lot of familiar faces from many years past, and thank you for all for coming today. So, so we're this is kind of our my elevator speech. I would say this is what we do: inventory, classification, conservation, evolution, dissemination, and education. And I want to call out David Barry, right in the back there, for reinvigorating this lecture series, and just in general being a great supporter of ours in the science department. So we love working with our horticulturists, our educators, and just about everybody in this room, volunteers, members, friends. So thank you for all for coming today. So let's go. Our mission, very important. We should be able to recite that, everybody. Provide bayfront sanctuaries connecting people with air plants of the world, epiphytes, that is, native nature in our regional history. So our work has largely been overseas and in Florida, but we realize that Florida is our backyard. We have to have a presence there. We have to do work there. And so with that, we've been doing quite a bit of that lately. You'll see a couple of pictures here. Even as of yesterday, Our team is strong, really excited. Everybody on our team in the garden is really passionate about the work that we do here. It's really phenomenal ability to work with a passionate team like this. So who doesn't know what an epiphyte is? Nobody's going to raise their hand. Commonly called air plants, but epiphytes are about 10% of the world's flora. That's amazing. So there are about 400,000 species of plants known to science. There are many, many more yet to be described. And that's one of the things that we work on all the time, is going into the archives and pulling out a sheet of a new specimen that's been mounted, and wow, if we don't recognize it, it means that it's probably something kind of unusual. So that's our team. That it takes decades of work to get to that level where you can actually go into a collection and look at the specimen or look at the live plant and say, I've never seen that before. That's something pretty new. So about 40,000 species are epiphytic. And we're not even counting the bryophytes, which are the mosses and lichens. We're really talking about vascular epiphytes. That's our main focus in our collection. So those are bromeliads, as you see here. A couple of orchid, Florida butterfly orchids. Florida has 80 species of epiphytic plants that are native to our peninsula. So that's pretty rich. You have to go way down into southern Mexico and Panama and Costa Rica to see more species like that. So, don't take them out of your trees. Let them go. Let them live. But we owe a lot of our these guys, the Selby pioneers. So these are just two of them. Cal Dodson, the first CEO of Selby Gardens, and Carl Lure, and that's his wife Jane. They really were the intellectual founders of the institution. They came up with the idea of studying epiphytes, and of course, epiphytes are the most beautiful group of plants, orchids, bromeliads, etc. So they didn't go wrong there, and they had a lot of help from other institutions around the country to develop this idea of studying epiphytic plants. They're just a very unique group that you could cram a lot of them into a greenhouse. So that's why we have, as Jennifer said, so many different species here on our campus. And that's why we have so many of them off campus for a little while, but they'll be coming back. I'll show a few slides of that too. But so here, in addition to Cal and Carl, there's Kiat Tan, who's there on your left, and he was also a very significant figure in our history. He was a student of Cal's at the University of Miami, and Cal brought him here, along with Hans Wieler, another botanist from the early days, studying gesneriads, and Kia was an orchid specialist and did a lot of field work. These guys were out in the field from the early 70s, actually 72, they started collecting out in the wild because they knew what was going to come. They had to populate the greenhouses here and bring plants of interest and of beauty into the thing. So there you go. Bromeliads, orchids, gesneriads, pteridophytes. Is that one of yours, Harry? Oh, so we have some of our photographers here, so this is. These are groups that they're very charismatic, beautiful, and this is how we, really excel as a botanical garden, in focusing on a group of plants that nobody else does in the world, or they try to, but they don't quite, match our effort, I would say. So epiphytes, they grow up in trees for a reason. They grow up to get light. That's the major effort for epiphytic plants, is get to the light. Also, the nutrients that are available to them and that they can capture out of the, quote, air, specialized trichomes or plant hairs. They can grab nutrients drizzling down from the canopy, and bromeliads are especially effective at that. They have very specialized relationships with other animals, especially ants, butterflies, that can, in this case on the right, you can see that hollow is where ants will live inside of that orchid and bring nutrients in and protect the plant from herbivory. And I've witnessed that many times myself when you try to go collect some really cool epiphytic plant and the ants come out and just chomp you down. So as I said, in early 70s, these guys, Cal, Carl, Kiat, were faced with presenting a botanical garden to the public. And they had no plants here. So they embarked on a number of expeditions, extensively in Ecuador, Central America, and other parts of South America. And they had to clear some of the property, get rid of those eucalyptus that you can see there, and build the greenhouses and populate all that. So that took, I would say, 10 years or so to really gather the material that was needed to do a decent exhibition. And they did it really within about 5 years. So, and they also wanted to have an institution that was scientific. That was their main focus at the time, was to recreate the larger botanical garden, European gardens, and to bring those elements to Sarasota. And so that included publications such as Selviana, included building up a beautiful rare book collection. And that was, I think, one of the things that Jennifer saw on her third day here. I said, what do we got? This is crazy. And now we have books dating back to the 1500s. So thanks to generous donations from the community. So it's really, really a remarkable collection. David told me yesterday, where'd he go? Another botanical briefing would be highlighting the collections from our rare books. And that would be phenomenal. A really amazing collection. So. And then we had some other guys that were here back in Cal and Carl's days, back in the 80s. Hans Wieler, a Gesneriad specialist. So Mike Madison, aeroids. We need to get another aeroid specialist here, Jennifer. And of course, Kiatan. And so they were students that worked, they did a lot of field work. Between them, they added a lot of expedition experience and collections. We still have many of those plants living as well today. So it's really exciting. When you see, if you go out and look at the tags, you have the barcoded tags, check the date on those. And if something's from the 70s, this plant has been, growing here for that long. It's hard to keep a plant alive that long. So the horticulture team, I feel so good when I come back from an expedition and turn over my plants to the horticulture team, and I can just kind of forget about it because they do a great job at cultivating those, propagating them, sharing them with other institutions. It's really a phenomenal thing. And so Mike, Madison, aeroids, Gesneriads, yeah, good team in the late 70s, early to mid. And then we had another group of botanists that came in, especially Libby Bessie. You see her there in the middle, and Joe Halton on your right. And they did a number of trips down to, especially Ecuador, Bolivia, and they collected hundreds more plants for our living collection especially, but also the herbarium. So I don't think I described what a herbarium is. It's a collection of dry pressed plant specimens that will last forever in our new Plant Science Center. So that's really exciting for me to see how we are protecting our collection for very, very long term. And so they would go down and bring back living and preserved collections. So you know, all of these teams, all these generations really added a lot to our collection here. It's very exciting to see. Here's Libya in the middle with a heliconia, you know, crossing over a river in the Napo, Ecuador. There's the lower right there, that's Cal Dotson at his field science station that he ran for many years, Rio Palenque Science Center, taking pictures of, I guess, in orbit. So then we had another group really in the 80s, the mid 80s, that came in. Among them was Stig Dahlstrom, who we had on staff here for a while. He's an artist, collector of orchids, and Ron Dieterman in the mid-center there. He's one of our advisors on our new greenhouse complex, because he helped to develop the greenhouse complexes at the Atlanta Botanical Garden. So he was perfect. He was a former intern, and then he came back here, and he credits Selby Gardens with everything he's ever learned. Well, of course, he learned a lot more after he left her too, but really a great guy. And then Harry Luther. Harry, besides myself, was the longest term employee. He was here for 32 years, so I've got one more year to go. He was a specialist on bromeliads, and he helped build up the bromeliad collection tremendously. Not just bromeliads, but he collected a lot of different things. And he was able to engage other botanical gardens in bringing material to us. So very, very productive time for the institution at that point. So, then we had, what's really fun for me, and I think our staff here at the garden, is that we have a very rich number of research associates. And those are people that we're not paying them, but they're affiliated with us. And when they publish, they'll put our Selby Gardens name on their author line. And they advise us on new hires and just on general items. So, like a review of how we're doing in science at Selby Gardens. We have about 15 or so now around the world that are providing their services to us. So then in mid-80s, we got a change of staff pretty much. You got John Atwood, John Kress, and of course Harry, continued through 32 years. So John Atwood is an orchid botanist. He worked here for quite a few years and did a major revisions of the genus Maxillaria. Do you know that orchid genus? John Kress was a specialist in heliconias, and he's still very active, and we're hoping to get him here for a lecture pretty soon, maybe one of the next botanical briefings, David. And he, after he left Selby Gardens, he went as the head curator of botany at Smithsonian Institution. And then we had another little bit of a turn, a few more people that came in. Steve Ingram, who is the precursor to me in the herbarium. Nalini Nakarni, who was a canopy specialist. And Raul Rivero, Venezuelan, that worked on ferns. So that was a very productive time as well for the team. So, this is just a joke. When I look at this picture, I think, the guys are standing like this, Bad boys of Bonnie. And then, and then I came on board in '94. Wes Higgins and Stig were orchid botanists that worked with us at the time, and Antonio Toscano de Brito, who is now in Brazil, but he's still a research associate of ours. So when we try to maintain friendships with everybody and collaborations with everyone, because usually you're gonna come across somebody again in the future, and it just makes sense to keep the relationship going. Especially if I'm going to go to Brazil, I'm calling Toscano. I'm going to go to Panama. I have a former intern there, and he's willing to do anything that we want him to do. So it's that relationship in the botanical community that's so special and valuable to us working out there. So by 2026, this year, we've logged over 250. It's hard to keep count anymore, but it's really a valuable thing that we continue to do. So doing inventory in the wild helps us document plant diversity and distribution. And that's, we love it. We love doing that work. We don't like sitting behind the computer so much, but that's also part of the job. So as I said, it's really logging and understanding plant diversity and distribution. So where do plants grow in the wild? How many are there? Can we bring them back into cultivation? Sometimes yes, sometimes no, mostly no. So it's really studying that. That's our main goal here, is understanding plant diversity and distribution. And these are some of the spots that we visited. These are field sites where we've been. And you can see a very heavy focus on the New World tropical areas. The Andes are by far the most diverse region for epiphytes in the world, by far. Asia has a lot, Africa has a little fewer, but the Andean mountains are super rich. And as I mentioned, we collaborate with many other institutions worldwide. We exchange plant material. We share what we call gifts for determination. That is, when we get a plant we can't identify ourselves, we send that out to another institution, whether it's a specialist. And in exchange for that duplicate specimen going to them, they send back a name to us. And that helps us enrich our knowledge and our verifiability, that's the word, of the highest level of identification possible by a specialist. And there aren't that many in the world, there's just a couple hundred. We are working to bring through students and interns here. Do we have any interns? No, they're doing other interning things. Oh, there's Claire. Yeah. Brand new, started yesterday. In the field. The lemur, I'll show you some lemur pictures. Yeah, okay, so field inventories, said that exchange, kind of talked through that already. Now, we have challenges when we go out in the field. And because these are natural areas, they're wild, and they're wild. Yeah, so you never know what you're going to step on. One of the biggest, this was at the lemur preserve. That's the big rattlesnake we found there. It's like a 6-foot long thing. We thought it was dead. And so we're up there, teasing it, and it, that was not smart. And these guys are a persistent problem. So, you're walking down this path, where are you gonna go? So maybe somebody gets a stick out and, it's not great. And then, so some areas also present vertical challenges. So here's, this is some work that I've done. I've got a few shots of work that I've done in Belize and in Venezuela. So this is one where we had to rappel down, that's about 300 feet, 100 meters, straight drop into a sinkhole where nobody has ever visited, ever. Even the Mayans couldn't get in there because of the configuration of the cenote or sinkhole. So that's pretty exciting. And then we've flown also a lot with the British military. They have helicopters because they do training in the country. And so we've been fortunate to get, putting our thumb out and give us a ride. They're very generous with their flight time. And here is, yeah, so this is in Belize, and we thought we saw some cute little pigs in the forest, and after one cute little pig, 100 came. So we ran up onto these branches, and I thought, I've got to get some pictures of this video. And this is what it is. So I'm not sure, Jennifer, if you saw this. Kelvin Cooper was with us on this trip, and one of our former board members. And I thought, I can't come back to Selby Gardens and lose a board member, right? So yeah, so that's.
You could call them former.
Yeah, and that's Ella Barron. She's the director of our botanical garden down there. But we were told later. I don't know if I should say this.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that we should have peed on.
We can't hear you. Go back to the mic.
Yeah, that we should have peed on them. We learned that later. we had our machete. There's Kelvin. We were just so glad to be off of that branch. Finally. Oh yeah, that's good times. Yeah, so another place I've worked a lot over my career, and including at Selby Gardens, especially during I think 2016 to 2020, like a 6-year span. I was going down to Venezuela at least once a year, sometimes more, and working in the Lost World area of Venezuela. So here's a photograph of Roraima Tipuy. This is the famous mountain of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. He wrote a book about this called The Lost World. And it's amazing. It's just, it's 9,000 feet elevation. You have to take a helicopter if you want to get there quickly. You can climb as well, but that's not so much fun. And you can see that in the background, this mountain range is just unexplored. We tried to get in there to do some work. I think there's a video here showing this. And this is why the botanists that went up there to explore, they were 4 hours on the summit. And they brought back these pictures, drawings, no photographs at that time, drawings of these mountains, and that's why, of course, you got dinosaurs up there. Just if you see some of those things, they're dinosaurs for sure. So that was really fun, and we were able to penetrate that range only for a couple of hours ourselves. So there it is again. Look at it. That's a dinosaur in a castle. Yeah, so here's some pictures. We camped up on top of this mountain for 2 weeks and explored a lot, collected a lot of plants. We could not bring any of those back here to Selby Gardens to grow because we didn't have a pool house. talk more about that in a minute. Because we can, mostly what we can grow here, in our greenhouses are low elevation, less than 1,000 meters elevation in nature. So we're getting pretty excited about next phase 2. And that's a Drosera, a sundew on the left. Just a lot of carnivorous plants up there because the soils are very nutrient poor. So many of the plants there need some protein that they can take from insects and other animals. Yeah, we did, oh, you can see that, again, that labyrinth, they call it the labyrinth, because if you go in, you're having trouble getting out. But we did a lot of plot inventories, so we set a basis for the study in the transition, I guess, of these herbaceous swamps, herbaceous meadows, and hopefully we can go back in another 5 or 10 years and sample those same plots to see how things are changing. We use elaborate hand signals across 3 meters. I don't know. I look at that and I said, what were we thinking of? Here's a, so the plateau is fairly level, except for those really high mountains that you saw. Here we're flying off on the helicopter. And time stands still at the edge. And you can see the amazing panorama. Oh, and then somebody left the door open. Yes, the door was open. Well, our plant families are strong, they're rich, diverse, and we love them. Gesneriads, bromeliads, and aeroids. I didn't include all of the ones that we really like, but we're so fortunate to have had that vision from our founders that brought in the most charismatic and interesting ecologically, biologically, taxonomically, the best plants in the world. That's Selby Gardens collection. And of course, we're involved in areas of studying the evolution, classification, and here's a study that we published on bromeliads with a team of colleagues from around the world looking at the diversification and evolution of bromeliads. We know that they evolved about 100 million years ago, and they really just started to form their current shapes and systems about 20 million years ago. And they originated on those mountains in the Tepuis. So that's why I've been just excited all the time to go down and to see those fairly primitive bromeliads. They don't look, if you saw one of those, you'd say that's not a bromeliad. It doesn't have spines. They're just magnificent, interesting, early bromeliads. And also we're building back up our orchid research area. And so that's also going to be focused on classification, conservation of orchids and evolution. So that's coming up. And so here are, look at that. Here's these are 3 species. Well, actually there are 4 there, but the one on the left, and the one on the bottom, and the white flowered one in the center, those don't have names. Those are undescribed for science. And the reason that they're not yet described is that the people that took the photographs didn't make a specimen. So you have to have a specimen in order to describe a species. Deposit it at a herbarium like ours. We have over 4,000 type specimens, which is a remarkable number for a herbarium of our size. It's really Yeah, so yesterday, Claire will recognize this, maybe not these actual shots, but we were working just yesterday at the Lemur Conservation Foundation, where there's a sedge. Remember sedges have edges? Anybody remember that from biology? And they have 5 different species and about 50 different individuals that they raise and they share with other zoos. It's not intended for reestablishment in the wild. It's intended to preserve the species in our area. So it's just north of Mayaca City. And we've been working with them for about 6-7 years to inventory their collection, to help their interns and their students follow the animals around and see what they're eating here in Florida. Because that's obviously nothing like that in Madagascar, totally different flora. So it's just a lot of fun to go out there. We had a young baby yesterday we saw. It's really hard to get the team away from that because they're so cute. So here we are. Lena and Claire's in the back there and our team. So you can see Sean before to the right there. Sean's back there. And Trent, I believe. Is Trent? No, he couldn't be out. Yeah, David, first time he came out with us on a trip. That was fun. And Julie, who's our herbarium curator, taking the picture. And this is the mega beautiful sedge, right? Do you want to grow that in your yard? we brought a plant back to the greenhouse team here. I said, what do you want to do with this? It's not very attractive. Yeah, we gave it to Bob Tower. But this is one of the projects that we do here at Selby Gardens is this plant conservation. So we're, as I said, we're working in our own backyard. We're making sure that plants are conserved, that need to be conserved, growing here, outplanting. Sean's been a big help with that. Here's a seedling trial that we did up in Emerson Point. With the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, they provided funding, and they still are providing funding. We did a big outplanting. Let's see. What is this? Oh, we had one of our. Have you seen this? This is the outplanting that we did just recently on one of the neighboring keys. We're so excited about this opportunity to be able to take the plants that we've been growing for 10 years to get them up to size and get them ready to plant out in the wild. So we had about 70 plants that we put out with the help of the Fish and Wildlife Service, with Sarasota and Manatee counties. So tremendous collaboration to plant those out. So we need to go out, John, and see how they're doing. I think we were even after a couple of months, they were doing really, really well. So, and this is reintroducing this incredible plant, which probably only has about 400 or 500 or less plants in the wild. Now, 470. So, no, it really, it makes a big impact And if they can bloom and get pollinated, they can then disperse their seed as well. So that's very exciting. Yeah, see, we've been involved in a lot of other different efforts, saving the Tillandsia utriculata, which is the giant air plant, threatened by a weevil, the mule ear orchid. We work with Everglades National Park to conserve and to propagate and outplant. And then with Sarasota County, we've done a lot of, all of their parcels that they have, the preserves, we've been out and doing very detailed inventories. And you can see those lines are all the places that we walked on that parcel. Old Mayaca Preserve is the gem of preserves in Sarasota County. So get out there. It's right at the end of Fruitfield Road. Beautiful, beautiful place. We worked on a lot on doing bio-blitzing as well with a grant that we had from, what was that? Yeah, one of the federal agencies. And then one of the articles that we published in our journal, Sylviana, to present unique and innovative studies on epiphytic plants. And we have an influencer. He's not here. But if he was, you would hear him. No, I'm not a big social media kind of guy, but we have one of our botanists who's really into it. So he's doing some really wonderful work and sharing his finds in the field and the emotion that he has and he brings to the table. It's really a nice addition to our team. So, and then more recently, Julie Encarnacion, she should be here, helped to coordinate and Selby Gardens sponsored a very large congress down in the Dominican Republic. All of the botanical gardens in Central America and the Caribbean are attending this. So it's really it's a high level event. And so we had the best showing of any botanical garden. We had John and myself and Julie. We're all down there giving talks and meeting with people. There's our group. Dominican Republic is really a great possibility for future work for us. Yeah, and then here's just some of the talks we've done. There's John does all of the African violet and Gesnera hit shows around the country. It's on the road quite a bit, and I went to Australia late last year for the Bromeliad conference. That was fun. 4 days of travel and 4 days of conference. And then I was just recently in California, the World Bromeliad Conference in California, just a few months ago. What I want to end up with is saying that, you've probably heard that in a few of my comments here, but we're now able to grow our growing plant potential tremendously. So that includes the montane house. That's the thing we've been missing for at least 30 years that I've been here. And most, I would say, I'm just going to throw this out there, 60-75% epiphytes are montane. So having that ability to grow a few of them in their habitat and their environment that they can grow in, is going to really be a game changer for Selby Gardens. So thanks to the administrative team here for making that happen. I didn't think I would live to see that. But here's a good shot of, of the future campus, including those greenhouses that I mentioned. And look into the new conservatory arena. So there you walk into this place and you'll be able to go into the different elevationally gradient structures up into the Montaigne House. So it's going to be incredible. Just a few more shots. I can't wait. We're planning some collecting trips so we can make sure that we have plenty of plants to populate the houses. So well, I want to thank you again for being here today. It's been a pleasure to talk to you and share information about our work with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bruce. That was such an excellent presentation, and I know that Bruce will linger around for those of you who might have questions, because I'm sure all of your interests have been piqued now. And I did want to mention, I hope you all come back next week when we open the new exhibition here at the downtown Sarasota campus. It's called Lynn Goldsmith Shared Light, and it's going to be an incredible show featuring this legendary American photographer and her photographs of flowers, as well as her photographs of our artist in residence, Patty Smith. So Members Day is next Friday, the 19th, and then public opening day is the following day, Saturday, June 20th. So definitely come back for that. And in the meantime, I want to thank you all for being here today to learn about Selby Garden's incredible work in plant research and conservation. Bruce's contributions to this institution in that area are just staggering. So I'd like to give Bruce one more round of applause. Thank you, Bruce. Terrific, and thank you all for being here today. Enjoy the gardens.